Welcome to another edition of Black Knights Weekly. On this week's show, Rich DeMarco goes one-on-one with volleyball head coach Alma Kovaci. We'll also have features on Andrew Rodriguez, and we'll take you to the NCAA selection show with the women's soccer team. But before we get to that, let's check out what happened last week in Army athletics. Friday, the women's soccer team took on top-seeded Colgate in the first semifinal of the Patriot League tournament. Almost 5.5 minutes into the match, Joey Malacek put Army out front with a beautiful shot off a touch from Julia Stallard. With less than 10 minutes to play, Monica Lee made 2 clutch saves to preserve Army's lead. The senior would finish with 7 saves. Malacek would add another goal with just seconds to play to seal the 2-0 win. Army's opponent in Sunday's championship would be arch-rival Navy. In the 27th minute, Ruthie Rosenberger's shot deflected off a Navy defender and went into the goal to give Army the early lead. Kim On would add an insurance goal in the 59th minute as the Black Knights took home the title with the 2-0 win. Lee came up with another 7-save performance in her 15th shutout of the season. She, along with Malacek, Madison Oliver, and Molly McGuigan, were named to the All-Tournament team. Malacek was also named Tournament MVP. The women's soccer team wasn't the only Black Knight squad taking on the Mids, as the volleyball team made the trip to Annapolis Friday night. The Black Knights dominated set 1, winning 25-17. The second frame was completely different, but Army was able to come away with a 25-23 win. The Black Knights would finish off the sweep with a commanding 25-13 win in set 3. Ariana Mankus led all players with 12 kills and also added 11 digs. The victory is Army's 8th straight over Navy. The next night, the Black Knights headed to our nation's capital for a match with American. The Eagles took the first 2 sets on their way to a 3-1 win. Mankus led the way with 16 kills, while Megan Wilton chipped in 12. Rounding out the Army-Navy competitions for the week, the sprint football team took on the Mids at Shea Stadium Friday night. Not only was the star up for grabs, but the CSFL title was as well. The midshipmen were able to slow down the high-flying Black Knight offense on their way to a 28-6 victory. Marquise Morse finished with a career-high 85 yards rushing. In front of a sold-out crowd at Ritter Arena, the Army hockey team took on RIT Friday evening. After falling behind 2-0, the Black Knights would claw their way back late. 26 seconds into the final period, a goal by Mark Doobie got Army on the board. Midway through the frame, Doobie found Mike Hull, who tied the game at 2. The Black Knights couldn't convert on a late power play as the game headed into overtime. Neither team would score in the 5-minute period as the game ended in a tie. Ryan Leitz made 43 saves in the draw. 24 hours later, the Black Knights and Tigers were back on the ice. RIT would score first, but Andy Starshevsky would provide the answer. Later in the first period, the forward tied everything up at 1 off assists by goalie Rob Tadazak and Bill Day. In the second stanza, Starshevsky finished off his first career hat trick with goals in the opening 5.5 minutes. However, the Tigers would rally to pull out the 5-3 win. Back at West Point, the rifle team hosted Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard in this year's President's Trophy match. The Black Knights won for the 3rd year in a row and 6th time in the last 7 years. William Mengen earned medalist honors in small bore, while Kelly Buck and Richard Calvin placed 1st and 2nd respectively in air rifle. Up at Crandall Pool, the swimming and diving teams took on Connecticut Saturday afternoon. The Black Knight men remained undefeated after beating UConn, while the women's team fell to the Huskies. The Army men won 10 of the 16 events, with Dan Foki and Will Viana each picking up a pair of wins. Diver Chris Nguyen swept both diving events for the Black Knights. On the women's side, Juliette Wallerstein finished first in the 100 free with a season-best time. The football team traveled to Air Force for their first Commander-in-Chief's Trophy game of the season. The Falcons used a strong second half to claim the win. Raymond Maples ran for 132 yards for his 5th 100-yard performance in the last 6 games. The men's soccer team suffered a setback on the road at Lehigh in their season finale. Josh Kopey fired off 3 shots for the Black Knights. On Sunday, the wrestling team opened their season with 2 matches. First up was a showdown with 24th-ranked Iowa State. The Black Knights led 23-9 with just 3 bouts left, but the Cyclones would rally. However, Army came out on top with a 23-22 upset win. The victory is the program's first over the Cyclones. A few hours later, the Black Knights took on Boston University. This time, there would be no rally as Army dominated, winning 8 bouts in the 28-9 victory. Will Brown notched a pin, while Connor Hannafy added a major decision. The highlight of the match might have come at the 174-pound bout, as Colin Whitmire upset the 5th-ranked Hunter Mays 3-0. The Black Knights return to West Point on Tuesday night for their first home match of the year against Ryder. In front of a rowdy crowd at Crystal Arena, the two teams split the 10 bouts, but the visitors squeaked out the 1-point win. Hannafy, Young, and Whitmire each improved to 3-0 on the year. After this short timeout, Rich DeMarco catches up with head volleyball coach Alma Kovaci. That's next.
This is Scott Swanson, Director of Strength Conditioning at the United States Military Academy, with our SurgeX training tip of the week. Today, we're going to show you some of the off-the-field training drills that you can utilize in your daily program. Today, we're going to start off with pogo hops. We're going to do 3 sets of 10 reps of just a quick jump. Ready? Begin. About 3 to 5 inches off the ground. The next drill are lateral line shuffles and hops. You go side to side or forward backward. 3 sets, 10 seconds each. Our next drill is a ball chase drill. We'll have the athlete move side to side laterally as quick as he can. Just like that.
Welcome back to Black Knights Weekly. Big weekend for the Army volleyball team. It's senior day, last 2 regular season games for the Black Knights, and it's time now to go one-on-one with head coach Alma Kovaci. Alma, thanks again for joining us. Big weekend for your team. Senior day and still an outside chance to still host the Patriot League Tournament.
Yes, absolutely. Big weekend for us, critical weekend. We're extremely excited to get on the court, in our home court, and with our own fans, to be able to beat Colgate and Bucknell at home. Senior day with Fabiola Castro and Rachel Willis will be extremely special. They've been tremendous to our program, and we're excited that they've had a great 4 years here at West Point.
Of course, logistically, you mentioned you win your 2 games. American loses 2. You still have a chance to host the Patriot League Tournament. But from your team, what are you looking for this weekend to get them ready, win or lose, for that Patriot League Tournament next weekend?
As always, never say never. There's always a chance. That's why it's sports. That's how we play the games. There's always... we need to be able to perform this weekend and take care of our own business. That's what we call it, take care of our own game. Colgate is going to come extremely excited, determined to play, because they do want to still get that 3rd seed. And if we beat them, or when we beat them, we end up 2nd and they end up 4th in the tournament. And so there's a lot of critical placing going on in the conference with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. But most importantly, 3rd and 4th place. We beat Colgate, we guarantee them the 4th place. And it's important for us to do that and meet Lehigh again. But again, 1 game at a time. Colgate is where we're focusing on.
You mentioned your seniors. What has this class meant to you in their 4 years here at West Point?
This class is extremely special, and we were just remember recruiting them. And Rachel Willis went to prep school for a year, so she showed the commitment to our program, but not only our program, but also the academy. Tremendous leadership. Both of them are co-captains, and they'll be surely missed.
And Alma, also a chance with your home fans potentially for the last time this week. And I know you are very close with your fans, and it's going to be great for 2 more games. And hopefully fans come out Friday night, Colgate, Saturday afternoon, Bucknell, to cheer on this team.
Oh, fans, they have been extremely special this season. We've had, actually, I think our audience was much bigger this year, and it was great playing at home, playing American at home, and unfortunately losing that in 5 games. But wow, the fans, there was so much energy going on, and not only the community that was there and our and the fans, basically our cadets, but also the leadership was there. The USCC leadership was there, and that was very good to see. And they still come back and provide support to our cadet athletes.
Well, Alma, we appreciate a few minutes. Best of luck this weekend against Colgate and Bucknell.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Army volleyball coach Alma Kovaci joining us here on this edition of Black Knights Weekly. 2 big games for the Black Knights. Friday night against Colgate, Saturday afternoon against Bucknell. And the Black Knights next week will head on to the Patriot League Tournament. We'll have more Black Knights Weekly coming up in just a moment.
Join the Army A Club today and support cadet athletes 12 months a year. Members of the A Club receive priority consideration for parking, seat locations, pregame hospitality, as well as Army-Navy tickets. But the benefits don't stop there. The A Club also gives members access to special receptions and events throughout the year. To join, visit the A Club link at goarmysports.com or call 845-938-2322. The Army A Club, supporting cadet athletes.
Every athlete wants to have a memorable senior season, and Andrew Rodriguez is doing just that, especially when you consider the road he's traveled to get here. Rich DeMarco has more.
The biggest comeback on the football field for Army in 2011 may be that of linebacker Andrew Rodriguez. The senior has returned to the starting lineup after missing all of last season with a back injury and has been a big part of the Black Knights' defense this year. The native of Alexandria, Virginia, was Army's leading tackler in 2009 and says being on the sidelines for an entire season motivated him to get back on the field this year.
It's really great. I mean, it's a huge reason why I came to school here and why I wanted to play on the team is so I could make a difference and make an impact, and didn't necessarily get to do that on the field last year, which is always where you want to make a large impact. But to have the opportunity to come back and try for that again and hopefully do that this season was a great opportunity for me.
And the adversity that Rodriguez, a Rhodes Scholar candidate, experienced allowed him to learn and grow as a person.
It was hard, but at the same time, people go through worse things all the time, and I was lucky that I had the support of all my teammates and my friends and my family, and it was just tough being away from the team, obviously, and not getting to be out on the field with my teammates like I wanted to. But I think their support was what helped me to get back this year.
And now, with Rodriguez back in the starting lineup and one of Army's best defensive players, head coach Rich Ellerson says his co-captain has taken his place among other veterans on a defense which has seen its share of young contributors.
He's one of those stabilizing influences that we have out there on the defensive side of the ball. If we're going to play well on defense, and there's an if associated with that, it'll be the resilience and the steady hands from guys like Andrew, like Steve Erzinger, like Josh Jackson. Those are the guys that have doesn't matter what happens out there, those guys have been there, done that. And those other players who are experiencing things that they haven't had as much experience will leverage them. That's been the case. I think people look to them for guidance. He's a guy that's recognized by his peers as a leader, both on and off the field. And the fact that he's on the field for us as much as he is a bonus.
And although he comes from a family with Army ties, with his father David, a 1976 West Point graduate and currently a lieutenant general, and his sister Amy, a 2006 West Point graduate, Rodriguez says he can't wait for the challenge of becoming a commissioned officer himself.
Not having experienced it firsthand, I've only sort of known it secondhand and from what other people tell me about it, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with soldiers and to lead soldiers, and I'm going to take it one step at a time and see how that first step into the Army goes for me.
Andrew Rodriguez, truly a leader both on and off the field, and a key defensive cog for the Army Black Knights. For ITT Night Vision, I'm Rich DeMarco.
And we'll hear from Coach Ellerson about the matchup with Rutgers coming up later in the show. We'll be right back with more Black Knights Weekly.
Now you can follow West Point and Army Athletics through social media like never before. On Facebook, West Point USMA and Army Black Knights. On Twitter, at West Point News and Army Athletics. And on YouTube, the West Point channel and Army Athletics. Social media, your way to stay connected to West Point and Army Athletics, anywhere at any time.
Earlier in the show, you saw the Army women's soccer team take home the Patriot League championship after defeating Navy. But who would they play in their opening round game in the NCAA tournament? Our cameras were there when they found out. With anticipation growing and cell phones ready, it was time for the big announcement.
There's Army Penn State!
Afterwards, the Black Knights were eager for their matchup with the Nittany Lions.
It's still kind of surreal, pretty awesome, but I mean, this is what we've worked for all season, so I'm just super excited that we have an opponent now, and so we're ready to go.
It's a really great feeling being able to finish out with a run in the NCAA, so I'm really excited for the opportunity.
It's great, and we knew we were going to get somebody good, and Penn State is certainly that. They've got one of the most dangerous attacking players in the country, one of the best central midfielders in the country. So it's certainly going to be a challenge, but that's one of the great things about being here at Army is that these kids are challenged every single day of their lives here. Some of those challenges a little bit greater than others, but they're challenged every single day, and they rise up on a consistent basis to meet those challenges. So, for us, it's just another challenge we have to look at.
The match will start at 7 p.m. Friday night. We'll have this week's weekend preview right after this.
Army hockey and basketball tickets are on sale now. West Point's Howler Center is the place to be for all the action on the ice and hardwood. Season and individual game tickets are on sale now. Call 877-TIX-ARMY or go online at GoArmySports.com. You can also ask about group and youth team opportunities. That's Army hockey and basketball. Call 877-TIX-ARMY or log on to GoArmySports.com. Army hockey and basketball. It's more than just a game at West Point.
On Friday night, the women's soccer team takes on number 13 Penn State in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. Head coach Stephanie Golan says her team will focus on the things they can control.
Being the best version of Army soccer has been what's gotten us to this point, and we're going to continue to sharpen and refine who we are as we move into this weekend against Penn State. We like the matchup. It's just another challenge. Our kids are challenged on a day-to-day basis, whether those challenges are great or small. They're always rising up to meet challenges, and this is another challenge for us.
The Rifle team will look to build off their President's Trophy win when they host North Carolina State on Friday and Nebraska on Sunday. Here's head coach Major Ron Wigger.
Conference matches are important, and trying to get a good home score to help us for qualifying for the NCAAs this weekend would be great to put up a really big number to be one of our counting scores for the NCAAs.
It's also a big weekend for the men's and women's basketball teams as they open their seasons. The women's team hosts Wagner Friday and Seton Hall on Sunday. With a lot of youth on the floor for the Black Knights, head coach Dave McGarity says preseason practice has been interesting.
This is really something completely new to me here at West Point. I've gone through this obviously in my career with other teams on the men's side, but this has been interesting because we've got not only the returning veterans who haven't played much, getting them into the mix and making sure they're doing what we need them to do with the 8 freshmen, and quite frankly with 2 in the starting lineup, 2 plebes in the starting lineup. That's a first for me.
The men's basketball team will start the season on the road, traveling to Colorado Springs for the All-Military Classic. The Black Knights take on host Air Force Friday night. Head coach Zach Spiker wants his team to play for the name on the front of their jerseys.
Anytime we take the court, whether it's in practice or in a game, we want to represent the people of this academy and the mission of this academy in everything we do. And doesn't mean there aren't going to be some errors or turnovers or mistakes, but they're going to be done in the right manner. And we're also going to play very hard and represent West Point in everything we do.
It's the last regular season weekend for the volleyball team, with home matches against Colgate and Bucknell on Friday and Saturday, respectively. Here's head coach Alma Kovaci previewing the weekend.
Colgate, extremely athletic. We played them at home, and it was a tough match, and we won in 5. 2 very good hitters. That they're very young, very athletic, and they're always relentless. So very excited to play them on Friday. Bucknell, big team. Tall team. It's going to provide good blocks and some power in hitting, but with our athleticism and then the way we move on the court, we're confident that we will do our best against both of these teams this weekend.
The hockey team continues league play with a road game at Sacred Heart Friday and a home game against Bentley Saturday. Head coach Brian Riley likes how his team has improved this season.
The guys have made steps in the right direction from the first game till the last game with RIT, but like we said, now we've got to put a 60-minute effort together that we've got to find a way to get a W. And now with Sacred Heart and Bentley this weekend, those are 2 teams that are on the eastern side in your pod that those games mean an awful lot, because when it comes to the end of the year when you're playing for home ice, it's how you stack up against those teams in your pod.
The cross-country teams are finishing preparation for the NCAA Regionals on Saturday. Head coach Troy Ingles says both squads are looking to improve on their performances from the Patriot League championships.
We certainly look for a couple of the guys that didn't have as good of performances to come back. Mike Mitchell, Barrett Lahardy, I think paid the price of going out a little bit fast. Mike's probably going to be bolstered by the fact that just this week he was named one of those 7 athletes that was named to the Patriot League All-Academic Team, which is a well-deserved honor. He's a phenomenal student. He's a battalion commander here. He kind of embodies the great cadet athlete model that we strive to put together here. On the women's side, I think say the usual cast of wonderful athletes that we've had that have been pretty consistent. Lisa Junta's one that's been a little bit dinged up and a little bit sick, but she seems to be coming back pretty well. So we think that she's going to be back up near the front of the pack, along with our stalwart Chelsea Prawl, who along with Mike was named to the Patriot League All-Academic Team after her phenomenal finish at the conference meet, combined with her tremendous academic prowess.
On Saturday, the football team takes on Rutgers at Yankee Stadium in the first game of the Army at Yankee Stadium series. Head coach Rich Ellerson says the Black Knights are excited for this opportunity.
I think anytime we step onto a stage like this, in a venue like this, we have a chance to get our message in front of the public, and we just need to make sure we put the right one out there.
The wrestling team continues their busy early season schedule with Saturday's Oklahoma Gold Classic. Head coach Joe Heskett wants his team to focus on the basics.
As much as it looks like it's super complicated out there, it's a very fundamental and simple sport when you really look, when you really break it down, and those are the things that we teach. Go out there and execute. I don't care if it's a tournament, a dual meet, a tourney dual meet, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it, just go out there and scrap hard.
So that does it for another episode of Black Knights Weekly. We hope you enjoyed watching this week's show, and we'll see you next week. So long, everybody.